Hey everybody. So today we're going to be talking about map icons. So if you've ever browsed for a map before, like I'm going to do now, you can see as you browse down that the standard maps and some of the built-in custom maps have icons that represent what the map is supposed to look like. And recently, that functionality was able to be added to custom maps, where previously all we had were these blank question marks. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the basics of map icons and some of the things that I do to make the process of creating them a bit easier. So the easiest way to make an icon for a map is to have a PNG image file in the same folder as the random map scripts that has the same name as the map you want the icon for. So if we take a look at here, I have this PNG image file, which looks like that, and it matches the name of this particular version of Mad Random. And then if I go into the game and I scroll down a bit, I can see that this particular map now has the icon based on that image file. Now, obviously, this picture right here isn't really a good visual representation of the map that you're going to be playing. So there are a couple ways in which to get a icon that will actually represent what we're going to be playing. And the way I prefer is just to use a mini-map, because that's a very good representation of what the map generally looks like. So the way I go about getting images for map icons is with using Capture Age. Essentially, if I want a picture for a map, I can play a game on said map. So I can play a game, and then I go into the recorded games. I can load that recorded game into Capture Age, and then with this I can zoom out as far as I want. So we can zoom out nicely so that we can see the whole map at once pretty much. And then notably also I'm going to press Alt-O to get rid of the interface, and that removes all the statistics and overlays and just moves the minimap to the bottom right over here. So once I have this situated nicely, I can just take a screenshot of it, and there I have an image that's going to represent my map. And this kind of helps us kill two birds with one stone, because for one, it's nice to have a full map screenshot of any map for presentation purposes, so to give people an idea of what it looks like. And then also it gives us a nice looking mini map which we can turn into an icon to look for when we're browsing for the map in the game. So once I have that image over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it out just so I can see the mini map. So I'm going to go into Excel. I'm going to crop this image so that we're just seeing the mini map. And then I can also resize it to be a square. And that looks pretty good as an icon. But notably, it's good to have a transparent background when you're making a map icon. And right now it's going to be a little difficult to make this background transparent because the color isn't really homogeneous all the way through. And we have this little logo over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this overlay image so I can put it over top of the Capture Age minimap, and that's going to make the background homogeneous. And so if I copy this cell, paste the image over into another cell, now this is basically a new image, and then I can go to color, set transparent color to this background, and essentially we have gotten rid of the background, and now we have a nice map icon. Now, the reason I'm doing all of this in Excel is not because Excel is a particularly good tool for graphic design. It's because Excel is very good at allowing us to automate things. So let's just get rid of all these images here. So basically what I've done is I've created icon creation and management tools into Madlands. So basically, whereas this tab here used to just be for the map pack manager, now it has this section here for generating icons as well. So basically, over here, we have this section called icon generator. And basically, this generate single icon is going to do exactly what we did. So it's going to take a capture age image that we have saved, crop out the minimap, overlay a background, and then set the background to be transparent. Now, a couple things to note is that this tool assumes that the source image that you're going to pick was created with capture age, and therefore it expects to find a minimap in the bottom right corner over here, so that it can crop it accordingly. If your minimap happens to be in a different position, you can switch this parameter from default right to custom, and then you can specify how much it will crop the image independently. And then besides that, you will also need to specify the overlay image. So if you download this template, you can get a default black one from this tab over here, and you can just save that somewhere. I have mine saved over here, and it will grab that to make the background all homogeneous. And then when we're setting the transparency color, since the background here is black, the RGB index of that is going to be 000. If you happen to make a different overlay for any other reason that has a different color than black, then you could specify a different RGB. But this will do just fine for now. And if I just say create single, it'll ask me where's the capture age image. I saved it over here. And it's going to ask me to select a cell to put it in. I'll pick this one over here. And it created a nice image for me. And if I want to go make another one, all I need is another capture age image that represents that map. So I can go back into this tab, generate single, find another capture age image, of which here I have quite a few. So we'll take this one and we'll put it over here. So that's basically a very low effort way to create a icon that's going to represent what your map is going to look like. And even though that may seem pretty easy, it may become a little tedious if you have to do each map one by one. So if we go back over to this tab here, we can also see another button that says generate list. And this basically does the same thing. It creates icons, but it can create many icons at the same time. And this incorporates rather nicely into the map pack manager because we can specify for each map that we have in a particular list what its icon is going to be. And based on what maps we choose to enable or disable, we can pick and choose what icons we want to generate from the source images. So I have a couple source images in this folder over here. So we can see 70 total images here, and correspondingly we have 70 total maps enabled over here. I'm going to update the path so it's correct. And then for each one of these images that is active, it will look in this folder, find that image, and perform that same operation, creating the map icon. So I'll click Generate List. And then after some time, it will generate all of the icons for the maps that were in that particular folder. So we generated 70 icons in about 30 seconds. So we can scroll down and we can see all the icons which it generated. So that's pretty cool. But as of now, all of our icons are still contained within this Excel worksheet, and we need to export them as individual PNG files. So the way I like to do that is go to File, Save As, and then instead of saving it as a Excel workbook, you can save it as an HTML file. Publish only the sheet instead of the entire workbook, and we can put it on the desktop and just call it icons. So if we save that, we can hit publish, and then this may take some time depending on how many images you have, but after a while we should be able to see a folder where we happen to save that file. See, it's right here. See, we called the file icons, so icons files will be over here, and then eventually it will get populated with all of the images which we have. So after that process has been completed, we can see that all of the icons are over here. Don't be worried that some of them have a black background. That's just a preview issue. The background is still transparent. And then we can get rid of these two over here, just leaving the icon files themselves. And so now we have an image for every map we had in our list, but as we can see, they don't necessarily contain the same name as the map that they're supposed to be referencing, and they don't necessarily need to, because what we can do is we can use a JSON. And so basically what a JSON is basically a file that can reference any map to any image with any name. And I guess I'll explain it after it's created. So basically this tool has a couple settings to create a JSON. So what we're going to do now is specify that the icons are all in the same folder. And so when they're all in the same folder, we can click this Generate JSON button, and it'll prompt to select the source folder for the icons, in which case we put that on the desktop. We called it icons files. And when we specify the folder, it will ask us whether we want to rename the images in this folder to the map names. Right now, I'm going to say no, just to show how the JSON works, but we can change the name after if we want to. And now we specify where to save the JSON file. And if we go into our random map scripts folder, the JSON file has to match the name of one RRM script in the folder. So I just picked this one, but instead of the extension RMS, it's going to have the extension JSON. And then after it creates, we can go into that folder and we can see what that looks like. So basically the JSON has two parts. It's referencing the map file name to some particular index, and then further on down, it refers that particular index to a file name that we had specified. Now, it's important to note that since we chose the option from folder, the particular maps get assigned to the images in the order which they are found. So image number 1 gets assigned to map number 1, image number 2 gets assigned to map number 2, etc. And since all of these files should have been saved in the order they were created, we should have no problems here. But that's just one thing to keep in mind. And I forgot to mention, the other advantage of a JSON is that we can reference icons which are in a different folder than the random map scripts folder. So as we could see, I had a subfolder name specified, which is called mad random. So in this case, if we wanted to not clutter up the folder too much, we can make a subfolder, rename it mad random, and then we can put all of our icons in here, and then all of our icons can be put in that folder and be referenced to that location with the JSON. So if I go and grab all of the icons from this folder and put them over here, we can restart the game and we can see what that has done for us. And now that we're back in the game, we can see that when we're browsing for maps now, that some of them, many of them, have icons now that we had just generated. And we are correctly referencing the appropriate maps to the appropriate images using that JSON. All right, so there's just a couple other things to take note of. So for the JSON settings, we have other options other than just from a folder. We could, for example, set all to 1, which means it would take every map that we have and set it all to the same icon. Now, this would be useful in a situation, for example, if you were running a tournament and you wanted all of the maps in that particular map pack to have the same icon so they're easily recognizable for that tournament. This would be a good solution for that. And that's one other option. And then the last option is to use the list. So basically, instead of relying on all of the image files in a particular folder being in order, you'd have to specify them manually. So up in the list here, you'd have to add another name that says icon path and another that says icon name, and then you would specify the path and the name for each RMS file independently, which can be a bit of an annoyance, so that's why I usually rely on using from folder, because they're usually all in the same order in that case. And then just to show what we can do, we can generate the JSON again, and right now that's no longer in icons files, it's over here in the mad random folder. And instead of just leaving the image files what they're already named, we can change the names to match the names of the maps themselves, so we wouldn't necessarily need a JSON to reference them anymore. So we can overwrite that JSON that we had, and then you can go back into that folder, and then we can see that instead of having an obscure name that doesn't really match the map itself, the icon names have been changed to match the map names. And then the JSON has also been updated accordingly so that the image name now is more representative of what the map is supposed to be. So that's basically what I do to make the creation and management of icons easier for myself, and hopefully you've found this video helpful, and thanks for watching.